All right, who's ready to make a podcast episode? I know I am. I'm sure you are after all the work you put in to get to this point. Okay, so let's log back into Anchor. Remember, we set up your account in Anchor a few lectures ago or lessons ago. And if you'll just log back into Anchor, I assume that you've verified your email so that Anchor knows you're real, and they will let you upload your first episode. So here's your dashboard. Before you get to any of your other setup, they just want you to dive in and make an episode. So, hey, let's do it. Let's click right there to make an episode. Here's your dashboard when you create an episode. So you can record audio straight from, this microphone straight into the computer, like I've mentioned earlier. Anchor has this cool thing where you can send voice messages to other Anchor podcasters that you can include in your show. You can drag and drop that into your own podcast. There's also this. I cheat a little bit because that was already there from when I tried this a minute ago. But you also have your audio library. So all the audio that you upload into Anchor is gonna live inside Anchor as long as you want it there. So if you have recurring segments that you want to play again, like an intro, like an outro, or an ad that you've recorded, they'll live inside your library, and all you have to do is just drag them from your library over to your episode, which is this column on the right, and you can reuse those. So just drag and drop. Really easy. Okay, I have already recorded my audio, and so I'm going to upload my audio. And you can see it come into the library there. It's coming into the episode on the right, and it's popping up in the library on the left. So we'll just hang out here for a second while it uploads, it's processed, and it's ready to go. I always just give it a little test run just to see how it sounds.
Hey friends, and welcome to the Test Podcast Show.
Nice. Okay, that sounds great. All right, so we're going to save that episode right there, which takes us to this screen, which looks like, a blog post or an email or something like that. So the episode title for this is going to be To the Test. Sorry about my typing. Test podcast. And let's do some notes in today's episode. I'm sharing what the Test podcast is all about. Okay, and that's all. I just want you to see what you can do there, okay? Down here, you can plug in season numbers and episode numbers, and whether it's a full episode, trailer episode, bonus episode, whether it's clean or whether it's explicit content, and that's good for now. Now we're going to talk about how to write attention-grabbing episode titles and show notes. And this is really important because an episode title is often the difference between somebody listening to your episode and not listening. So when somebody pulls up Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever and starts flipping through, what do I want to listen to today? It's the title of the episode that will often draw them in. So it's very important that it's, number one, that it's attention-grabbing. But the flip side of it, too, is that the title also has to deliver on, take that back. Okay, so your title sets up a promise that your episode needs to deliver on. And here's what I mean. So if you have some kind of sensational title that's like, in this episode, or let's see, 7 proven ways to get more sales right now. Well, your episode, that's a big promise, right? Your episode is really going to have to deliver on that. Otherwise, you're going to start to kind of break trust with the people who are listening to your show. So it's very, very important, but I don't want you to worry about it. And here's why. Because if you look in the lesson here, if you look in the text below, I've given you lots of kind of behind-the-scenes tricks that bloggers and podcasters and YouTube creators use to come up with really captivating, really catchy titles that draw people in. There's templates and formulas that you can use, and I link to a lot of stuff in this lesson where if you ever get kind of episode title writer's block, you can just jump in there and go, all right, here's 10 different ways that I can approach this headline. If I just look at the templates. They're really, really helpful, and make sure you master this lesson because this is really important stuff. This will make a big difference in how many people are coming to your podcast and how many people then subscribe after they come and how many people share and how many people keep coming back to listen to your podcast. Now that your episode is built, I want to show you how you can either publish it right away or you can schedule it for later. So on your episode screen here, where you've built your episode, you have this published date down below, and it says you can publish it now. And if you wanted to publish it now, you just go up to the top right and click Publish Now. Well, I don't want to do that quite yet. I like the idea of scheduling a podcast. So if I record it on one day, today's a Monday when I'm recording this, but if I want to release it on Friday, then I can select Friday. And, I want it to be available for people when they wake up and drive to work. So I'm going to set it for 5 a.m. So by the time people wake up on Friday, a fresh episode of my podcast will appear in their podcast player. And so I'm going to click Confirm there. And then I still have to go back up here and click Schedule Episode right there. Now, here's where some of the more detailed setup comes in. So the podcast name is going to be the Test Podcast. The podcast description. Let's see, I wrote something over here. A resource for Market Street Media Podcast students. Category. Let's find a category that fits. Okay, so are we in the arts? I don't know if we fit in arts. Business may be something. Okay, so business, marketing. This could end up being in the marketing category. Let's see if there's an education. Oh, here we go. Education, courses, how-to, language learning, self-improvement. So I'm going to put it in the broad educational category. And language, we're speaking in English right now. Click Continue. And now Anchor knows what the show is and what it's all about. And we're going to add our cover art right here. So I'm going to upload an image. Podcast. And here's just a little image that I made really quickly on Canva on my phone because I couldn't get Canva on the desktop to work well. So the Test Podcast, I don't love the way it looks, but it'll work for now. So continue there. And it uploads. And here we go. Now what Anchor's going to want to do is it's going to want to fill their own title in over your image. So just go down here and click Apply Text, and you'll see that drop off. And that's good. We're going to update cover art right there. And when it loads, we are good to go. Stand by. Okay. Now it asks, are we ready to distribute the podcast? And what this means is they will start distributing it to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, anywhere you can listen to a podcast. So if you're doing this, I want you to click yes, distribute my podcast. For what we're doing right here, I'm going to say no, not right now, because this isn't a podcast that I'm creating for public consumption. It's just to be helpful to you. So I'm going to say no, not right now. Thanks. Okay. I've got an episode, and it is scheduled for Friday at 5 a.m., and that is how you schedule a podcast or publish a podcast in Anchor. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching. Let's keep this thing rolling. Click that box right there. It'll take you right to the next section of the course.